The glass had been full when she lifted it. It wasn't the laughter that cut the deepest, it was the hesitation before it. That brief, sharp silence when her gaze locked with mine, her lips twisting into something sly, intimate, and unkind. Then the wine began to pour, slow and deliberate. Cold trickled over my scalp, turning warm as it slid down my neck. Her sisters screamed in delight, her friends slapped the table, laughter spilling into tears. I didn't react. I didn't ask a single question. I just reached for a napkin, dabbed my face, and rose to my feet. The air felt heavy, pressing against my back as I walked out, their laughter trailing after me down the hallway. Outside, the night was calm. I stood at the gate, breathing in the stillness. 10 minutes passed. A click from the latch. Footsteps. 3 men in black suits entered without hesitation. Their movements were precise, purposeful. No knock. No greeting. They went straight into the living room. I followed at a measured pace. Her laughter stopped cold the instant she saw them. One man placed a black folder on the coffee table. The other 2 stood behind him, silent sentinels. I remained standing. Her friends fidgeted. One of her sisters dropped her gaze. She forced a smile, but her fingers betrayed her, tapping restlessly against the stem of her glass. She already understood. 2 weeks earlier, I'd noticed the first crack in the picture we'd painted together, a dinner receipt stained with lipstick, tucked into her coat pocket. I hadn't been there. The handwriting on the back wasn't mine. I told myself it meant nothing, because that lie was easier to live with. But the signs multiplied. Late nights. Morning showers before she touched me. Messages she opened and erased before I could glance at her phone. And then I caught a fragment of conversation. Just a name, but one I recognized, one that had no business echoing in our bedroom. I never confronted her. I watched instead. Learned her habits. Noted which nights she worked late, which mornings she left too soon. I remembered the number she dialed from the balcony, the shift in her voice when she spoke to him. When she started picking up calls from unknown numbers, I reached out to someone who owed me a favor. Quiet men, the kind who leave no trace. They followed her movements, marked every stop, noted each person she met and how long she stayed. After a week, they handed me photographs, her fingers laced with his, their closeness making the air between them seem unnecessary. Still, I didn't act. I waited. Perhaps she thought my silence meant I hadn't noticed. Perhaps she needed to believe I lacked the strength to see her truth. Then came the wine she poured over my head, her last test, and I let her believe she'd passed. At the table, the man in the center opened a black folder. Inside, photographs, dates, transaction histories, hotel bills. Her hands froze mid-A. Her friends stared at the contents like it was something poisonous. I stayed silent, sliding the folder toward her. Her eyes darted across each page, the color draining from her face. When she finally looked up, her lips moved but no sound came. "You planned this," she murmured. I only tilted my head, not quite a yes, not quite a no. She glanced desperately to her sisters, her friends, but found no rescue there. I took the wine glass from her hand and set it gently on the table. I said quietly, "You should know what it feels like when people laugh at you." Her breathing grew shallow. She glanced at the men, then back to me. "Please." But I was no longer listening. My eyes went to her friends. "You should all see who she truly is. You laughed when she humiliated me, laugh now." No one spoke. One of the men laid down a final paper, a paternity test, dated recently. The result confirmed the child was not mine. Her lips quivered. "I can." I leaned in, my voice level. "You won't." I left the folder there, walked to the door without a backward glance. Outside, the night air felt sharper, cleaner. Somewhere inside, she began to cry, a sound that once would have pulled me back. Not anymore. Pain had lost its edge. It was pure now. By the time I reached the gate, I didn't care whether she explained herself, begged, or crumbled under the truth. That was no longer mine to carry. I stepped into the street. Behind me, the house was just another structure. She was just another stranger who once knew my name.